right, you like my studio? We've got the old turbo and the new turbo on the table. I'm going to show you some of the reasons we might want to replace these things. So I'm going to set them down like this. The reason we are replacing this turbo in particular is because of the wastegate rattle. Let me grab my light. So you can see we've got this little flap here. There we go. That this vacuum pod will pull back on this rod and it will close that flap against those ports there. On the new one, you can see it's a pretty snug fit. Little metal flap on a little metal sleeve. On the old one, over time it wears out and this one is rattling all over the place. Whenever this car is at idle, there's a really loud metal tinging and rattling, and it's this thing, air's coming through these ports and rocking this thing around. Eventually it'll get to the point where that air will make it so this thing cannot sit flush and you won't make boost anymore. We weren't at that point, but it sounded real bad and it was getting close. In addition, you've got this here. Come on, get the light there. That is the turbine wheel that the exhaust gases spin to spin a corresponding wheel over there. I'm going to put my fingers here and move it in and out while looking at the other side, and you can see when I move it in and out, I've got a good few millimeters of play. That is not supposed to be the case. If I go over to the new one and do the same thing, can't hear anything, can't see anything. The thrust bearing that keeps that turbine compressor assembly in place is shot. It's getting ready to come apart. At that point, you could have metal going from this side up into the engine and from here down into the catalytic converter. Real bad time. We dodged a bullet with this one. In addition, they're not leaking on this car, but you have two coolant lines that cool the turbocharger. And let me move the light again. They run behind the turbo and attach the engine block there and there. Unfortunately, they like to leak over on this side, often right about here. Sometimes you can get away with replacing the O-rings. They're stuck in there. Sometimes you can get away with replacing the O-rings, but if it cracks right there, you have to replace the line, and with the other side being on the other side of the turbo, you have to take the turbo out to replace it. Same deal with the oil feed line. Bolts to the engine there, and then runs to the turbo right there. If anything on this cracks and starts leaking, turbo comes off to replace that line. So in our case, we're going to do all the lines at once while we have it out, so we don't have to go back in again. There are other reasons you might replace the turbo, but the wastegate, the turbine bearings, and the lines are going to be your main ones. Hope this was informative, and thank you.